you ready?
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the...
Oh, well, okay, fine.
What?
Okay, Vindy. Holy
I'm normally
shit.
the one who says it every week. What the hell?
Can't
Hello,
let
everyone. Welcome
anybody
to
have
the
a turn.
Weeb
You just wanna hog
Club.
all the spotlight for yourself?
Episode 40. 40 is, I would say, really when someone, like, okay, right? Like, your 20s, you're young, right? Your 30s, you're getting a little bit older, and, like, you know, no one would call...
Not if you fucking listen to these guys.
Hold on. No one would call like in real life, right? Like, obviously,
Okay,
you're an old
that's
man.
different.
You're an old man for doing a fucking anime podcast, right? But I think in general, right, 30 is still young-ish, right? Especially when you consider, like, you lived like late 60s, 70s, right? It's still relatively young. 40s is when it's like, all right, you're getting there, dog. Like, you're almost old, right? You're right at your midlife crisis. So the Weeb Club's about to go through its midlife crisis, which is actually apparently this new cycle, the cycle of hatred, where Nun hated me last episode and was unbelievably toxic to me. So now I'm going to be unbelievably toxic to Craftsdwarf this episode, which will cause him to be toxic to Nun next episode.
I could never.
And it just goes in this vicious cycle.
It's like bullying children. Like, there's something morally, like, because he's just like, he's like 10 years younger than me. It's just not, it's not cool, man.
So Craftsdwarf is pushing his hatred on Nunmanji now, actually. He's kind of skipping up in the cycle a little bit.
Sad.
Okay, here's the first one, offline, which is, he said, Vindy could have played it off. He was totally in. Fuck you. I admitted to you that I could have played it off, but I didn't think I was talented enough to. I didn't play it off because in the second where I could have, I knew I should, but I couldn't think of what to say, so I didn't. So fuck you, offline.
Neckcar talks about how Nintendo's games are good. Yeah, their ports are really good, dude. I love ports. I love Breath of the Wild port. That's a great game, dude.
Well, it's funny because he said,
love that Wii U game.
He said that their game making side is good. And first I responded with the grammar correction. And then he said, fuck, and I'm genuinely disappointed and upset with myself for liking such a thing. And I said, also, in case you didn't get my point, their games are incomplete on launch. So I will hate on the game making side, right? Because it's ports and it's them basically making games that are not finished on launch. And he was like, oh yeah, I wrote this before you made that. So this is another, if you ever needed more proof, right? Instead of making multiple comments as you watch, make one long comment.
Multiple comments. Shut up.
Make
multiple comments.
Make one comment, because you guys always say dumbass shit that have to go back on it.
Engagement.
Actually, you're right.
So this
Put every letter as a comment. We'll parse it.
So Kit left a mostly apologetic reply. What kills me, and it's like so funny, is that he ends this like, oh, you know what, I should have replied with something nicer, and then he ends it with fucking better late than never, I guess. Like,
dude, that's actually funny. That's actually fucking funny. Oh, I was actually happy to see timestamps and everything last week. I swear to God, why didn't I just, say, fuck yeah, let's go. I was being too dramatic. Better late than ever. Like, what the hell? Like, that's just funny. Like, setting me up just to knock me down at the end. I have a couple comments to bring up because I'm very confused. Because there was there were multiple comments about the Vindy Nun dynamic last week. And in my opinion, that dynamic was Nunmanji being very rude to me when I was trying to speak.
No.
And also,
unintentional, but you took it personally.
Another part of that was last week when we had no topic, I was trying to get Nunmanji to talk about things until we started talking about the direct, which he did bring up. But felt like Vindy and Nun swapped roles today. which I don't get. And then I say I should have powered through, which no, because at that point, to be honest, it's funnier if I just drop it. Especially because of what I'm talking about this week, it's funnier if I just drop it and just say, fuck it, None hates me. And then someone else, Matias Del Campo, says, None was willing to talk and make leaps into what he was bringing to the table. Yet Vindy got so toxic that Motorcycle Guy, who was crying during the recording and was respecting Nunn's turn, decided to do his thing just to shit on the scummy right at the last minute. We know who the true homie is.
What the fuck?
When was I toxic last week? None was the toxic one. Am I delusional, Craftsdwarf? Am I like that narcissistic?
Yes.
Am I the villain?
Can't just let me have my fun.
Am I the fucking villain?
Look, let's just put it this way. You know, if we had to divide the three of us between Gaslight, Gatekeep, and Girl Boss, like we know who Gaslight is. Like that's
Me?
all I'm gonna say. I'm just saying, putting it out there, and I can leave it to you guys to figure out the rest.
I have to know if I'm the
whether you guys do a good job or
gaslighter.
not. I thought it was obvious.
I
but
legitimately don't know if I'm being gaslit or not.
Well, maybe I'm gaslight shit.
Like I don't know if like that's what I'm trying to ask is I don't know if I'm legitimately being gaslit by everyone or if I was the bad guy last week and I can't figure it out.
These comments this week are killing me. Well, because like I'm about to read this one by Natty. It's like, wow, okay, Crafts, can't believe it. Yeah, I'm patron, sir. Yes, I do comment. Y'all don't read my comments, sir. And I'll have you know that I'm at my local Burger King eating a spicy chicken sandwich, listening to the slander. Crabs to make my Coke taste flat. Good day, sir. And then Kage responds that I slandered him while he was eating at Burger King.
Yeah, he went to Burger King for you, Craftsdwarf.
Two problems. One, as you know, tastefully stated by J.K. Simmons as J.J. Jameson in Spider-Man. It was spoken. Never mind. I take it back. I got the line mixed up. I'm stupid. And yeah, stop drinking Coca-Cola. It's bad for you and your teeth.
What the heck? I have a comment to bring in, or one that I think I'm going to use to make another point, and to get something out of the way now instead of getting it out of the way later. Which is, so Mega Graphics, Raphael Racine says, thank you for the timestamps, Craftsdwarf. I can finally drop Orient. There was another couple of comments about people not caring about Orient.
Yeah, Midi again also said...
I vote right now that we just switch to Sono Bisque and all get caught up on it in the next week and just talk about that.
I'm already caught up, and I don't know if I trust you guys to be caught up by then.
I swear to... Okay, but we're going to talk about my autism, so I'll fucking do it. But I'm autistic, and we'll get to it in the weekly roundup. But I vote that we switch to that.
Okay, how about this? If by the day before we record, if both of you are caught up to Sono Bisque, we'll talk about it. But if not, you have to watch Orient.
None.
He's the one who has to watch. Like, do you want to watch None? Do you want to watch 6 episodes of Sono Bisque, or actually 7 by next week, or do you want to watch one more episode of Orient?
Apologize
Why?
to me, Vindy. It's because you're being very rude to me.
When?
Last week, Lee.
I don't know what's happening anymore. I don't know if this is real.
You also spoiled Star Wars for me.
Okay. No, I'm sorry that I was rude to you last week, Lee. I apologize.
All right. Also, I need one other favor.
What's that?
Can you end my sentence real quick?
Okay.
Nah.
Fuck you. I'm not doing that. No. Are you willing to catch up to Sono Bisque? Mr. None rom-coms are better than Battle Shonen Manji.
And Magical Girl series. I added that recently. They're both terrible.
Mm-hmm. So...
Yes, I will.
Okay. So we're switching to Sono Bisque after this week.
If you guys can...
I'm going to still watch Orient, though.
I'm not.
It's too close to fucking drop it.
Oh, wait. What was it I was going to bring up? Does anyone else have any comments they want to bring up? Because I had one more set that I wanted to.
I was ready to move on to the Pokemon.
So. Just real quickly, there were 2 people that commented about I should talk about Matt Pat's FNAF theories or watch Matt Pat's Five Nights at Freddy's videos. So I might do that sooner rather than later. Maybe make content out of it. Maybe make a stream out of it. Because I think it'd be fun. So.
Sad.
You're hateful.
Vinny, can I ask you a question? Which Craftsdwarf NFT would you buy?
Let me go back and look. I literally just closed the thumbnail. Give me a second. Like I just closed like the version of it, so I got to go back. I wish I could see like a big. Can you post the thumbnail right here so I can look at it? Sorry.
Yeah, I'll post.
That'll make it easier for me to see. I think I know my answer, but it's between like two of them.
Hold on, I'm looking for it. There it is. I think this is it.
Okay. It would either be Vindy Craftsdwarf, Craft's nephew, or the Craftsdwarf where he's got the actual NFT monkey face. That one's really fucking funny.
Fair enough.
What would be yours you would go for?
Probably the monkey face.
Is that the one you're most proud of?
I will.
It's probably the funniest one. Yeah.
No, I will say you did a good job on that thumbnail, as I mentioned privately. I just thought I'd make that a public mention. So.
Thank you. All right, Pokemon episode.
Oh yeah, y'all did that one. So.
Hi, Craftsdwarf. Read this out on the weekly.
Thank you.
Who wrote that? I swear I don't have it open. Who wrote that?
Nunmanji.
Oh, funny, Nun. Oh, it actually had a decent amount of comments. Did people like it?
Yeah, because I literally bitched about people not commenting on as much on the last one, even though I thought we had an interesting discussion.
Oh. Funny. So did people like it?
It's so sad that Guru Lashitma didn't come back when we needed his wise teachings
was there
to guide us.
He was in the thumbnail.
Was there Guru Lashitma stuff that happened in this episode? Do I gotta go back and listen?
No, the first episode I named my Magmar Guru Lashitma because he has an ass for a head.
That's where that came from?
No, that was definitely after, I'm pretty sure.
No, that's not where it came from, but I just thought it would be a good name.
No, I agreed that it was a good nickname.
I was so confused. I actually thought that it was legitimately about to be that, like, Guru Lashitma came from the Pokemon episodes, and I just, like, actually didn't even fucking know that till now.
Also, Tudai, Kishasa points out that, Gary is slightly more of a dick in the, agreed, because, he pushes you out of the way to take the Pokemon. But also, Oak brought both of you to the lab and only had one Pokemon on the table to give out, and only gave you the Pikachu that I just happened to catch right before he. So, okay, fair enough.
I'll give Oak the benefit of the doubt. He was probably going to give the player the Eevee, but he was going to go out and catch a Pokemon with his grandson and give it to him.
That's possible.
That
was
his plan.
It's a survival of the fittest. He expected them to get into a fist fight. Whoever was worthy would get the Eevee. And your player character is a bitch and loses.
And yeah, Justin Man maybe I didn't find it, or maybe I forgot about it, but yeah, I do like when Pikachu falls asleep after you talk to the Jigglypuff that sings in Pewter City.
Pog.
Epic.
A couple other comments, but I think we should move on to the Reddit.
The first one's a GIF of the sacred phrase with Sasuke doing ninja signs. I think it's pretty funny, actually.
Oh
my god, holy fuck, might be.
He just real-lived, who are you? You must be Sasuke.
It was the sacred phrase. It fucking got to me. It makes me more disrespectful. And then one that's I have not yet seen.
Naruto is one of my favorite pieces of media ever. I'm just going to completely forget one of the principal characters and mistake him for another principal commenter. Like, that's the kind of shit your dad would do. Like, oh, is that one Sasuke?
Clearly you haven't played
No, the problem is that I've been playing too much Fortnite, but I have so many other... Okay, I have a little bit of a skin problem in Fortnite. I'm going to expose myself on this one. So I bought the Silk Sonic pack. So it's Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. So it was both of those. And then there's an Uncharted like skin set. And so it's Tom Holland, Nathan Drake. And like Nathan Drake is in the game's Nathan Drake. And Tom Holland, Nathan Drake just looks like Tom Holland. And so I might have bought the Uncharted skins because it's funny to be Tom Holland. And so I kind of have been buying a lot of Fortnite skins. But the problem is I have so many that I'm not playing
really putting that employee money to good use.
But I'm not putting like I'm not playing the Naruto characters as much because I'm playing like Chun-Li for her fat ass, or like Bruno Mars because it's fucking funny to be Bruno Mars in Fortnite.
I'm sad I missed out on Tom Holland Spider-Man. I want that costume.
Or you mean Tom Holland?
No. There was a Tom Holland. There was a Spider-Man skin that was for Tom Holland, and it was literally Tom Holland's face on Spider-Man.
No, okay. See, I knew there was a Spider-Man, but I didn't know there was specifically. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
It's his suit from Far From Home.
There's some No Way Home suits as well in the game.
I see.
But
anyway, the last thing.
I wanted the Far From Home one.
The
last thing on the Reddit is I guess YouTube being YouTube.
Yeah, I mean it's just that you know I haven't even fully begun to understand the unabashed genius that Matt Pat displays on his channel daily. So, which might be true, not sure.
Yep.
I love forgetting to have a topic.
We literally have a fucking topic. Are you fucking?
We did not forget to have a topic.
Can you? Do you? You literally responded to Craftsdwarf posting the fucking topic. You literally responded to it. This guy's a gaslighter.
I forgot about it.
That's what I was saying earlier.
What the fuck?
I said it was obvious, and you're like, I don't know if it's obvious.
Does that mean, wait, Craftsdwarf, does that mean you're gatekeep and I'm girl boss?
I was thinking I was girl boss.
I agree, you're girl boss.
Because I watched Precure and Aikatsu. Mathos is a good friend of mine. Like, I'm just kind of, you know.
Oh, so are you gatekeeping being a girl boss right now?
I think Craftsdwarf's a dark triad. He has them all.
You caught me off guard there. That was great. Holy shit! We're like fencing. You just like fucking like did a riposte, and my fucking blade went flying. Like, you got me there. All right, the topic. This was a patron voted topic. Lime Phoenix. The difference between trash media and so bad it's good. And I guess in general, our thoughts on either of those, really.
Yeah, I feel very weird about. I guess I could start. I feel really weird about this so bad it's good idea, because I understand why people say it, but at the same time, I almost feel like with the way we try to view media, and like our views on art, the idea of a so bad it's good feels very antithetical to like when we talk about what we get from art. And so I feel very weird because then it's like I think about things like The Room, right? And it's like The Room is really funny, but you know it very clearly is funny in a way that I think is, to anyone who knows anything about the creation of that movie and who Tommy Wiseau is as a person, it's not funny because Tommy Wiseau meant it to be funny, right? So it is
right, 100%, right? Like it's funny for it's like like I understand why people say it's like so bad it's good, because it is like funny and enjoyable for it. Like if it was like the exact same plot and story of The Room, but like competently made, it would probably be like absolute, like it would just be boring shit and with some really like honestly problematic like thoughts on like women and just like, you know, like it's kind of not good. But the fact that it is so clumsily made and just acted, directed, it's just it's funny as it's fun. I like so The Room. It is. I was losing my mind.
We could imagine with like at least the way I think that, like, you know, I view art at least is that like is the closest thing to a so bad it's good that you can get, something where the reason that people enjoy it is not the creator's vision for it, right? Where The Room is this like comedy, this dark comedy, when that's not what it was meant to be. And so like, is that the but still I would say that doesn't make The Room bad at all. I think that means The Room has something that you can gain from it. It just, you know, is then weird because it's
good in a more niche way, but like it's also like we're recognizing it as like being, you know, like it's a romance movie, right? Like we recognize it and, you know, these ideas and like certain things about it, but you know, it is also The Room, and it's a bit offbeat, and it's doing things, you know, like there's like it's The Room, but because I guess like or go on then.
No, go ahead.
No.
Oh.
Go ahead.
The power move from Craftsdwarf.
Go ahead.
I do want to hear when that actually had to
say. It's so bad
really
it's good. I almost feel like it's more so like this doesn't really engage me on like an intellectual level, but I kind of enjoy it because of like either reasons that I feel are unintended, or it's just like it's not like you can see a lot of its faults, but you still like find it like engaging for some reason. Like so like it's hard to say if it's like it kind of just depends on like if someone wants to like define their own define what they view as being bad, like you like someone else could say like, oh, since you find engagement out of it, that means it's good. But like if someone decides that they define bad in a different way, then I think they could still call it like it's so bad that it's good. Like I don't know, I don't think it's
well,
like
I think like honestly, like there's a fundamental problem here of just like applying bad and good to art in the first place. Is like there's a lot of things to unpack there, even without like something like saying so bad it's good kind of operates on the assumption that there is a bad and there is a good to art in the first place, which I don't think is necessarily like the most helpful idea. Like, you know, and not to say like there isn't like you know, like
right, like there
is technical abilities
that
or that things that go into art, right? Well, yeah, there, like we, you know, there are schools and, you know, courses and books that go into trying to find out what makes like something, you know, like okay, this piece of art has stood the test of time. Why? What is it about this that like, you know, clicks with people, right? And then like, you know, and there have been rules and stuff that are taught, like the 180 rule is like, because yeah, if you break the 180 rule in film, people get disoriented, and which is, you know, is it because we've been trained this way based on the movies we watch, or is it like a physical like mental orientation thing about our like ability to read into a sense of space? Like I don't know if that's been scientifically shown or not, but it's like a recognized rule. It weirds people out when it happens, so it's usually best to avoid it, right? So, but then, you know, when you get to that point of like viewing art as a science and trying to define, you know, because obviously, like, you know, if something's meant to serve like, it also, what's your definition of bad and good, right? Like, that's also debated in philosophy and stuff. So, like, you know,
I almost feel like if someone calls something it's so bad it's good, I don't even think they're trying to like approach it as a science of like this must be bad. Like I almost just feel like it's just what they like think is bad, but it's not like a scientific kind of like it is.
Well,
has to
I mean,
be
more
objectively
like
bad, but I still enjoy
scientific in that like trying to find a right answer and having these kind of like, you know, truths or general like absolutes, right? Like if a thing does that, like, which we complain about a lot of with people responding to art, where it's like if it does this it must be bad, when obviously like we try to see things meet things at their level basically, and try like engage with art and what it's doing on its own merits, which, you know, involves like, again, like the 180 rule, it's more of a guideline, but, you know, it can be broken meaningfully, right? Like even though it can also be done clumsily, and trying to find out like the ways you could read into various stories and various techniques and things of the stories, and try and find out, like, you know, and that even goes even beyond intent is the other sort of problem, going back to how it started with just like, you know, because I'm more of the mind, like, if someone reads into something, even if it's not intentional, like, if it's, you know, something that could be reasonably, like, stated, that's not arbitrary, that can be shown as, like, being, you know, here's a consistent, well-reasoned argument for this thing, then, you know, intent is kind of secondary. And like we're going into like we're like leaping over like fucking decades of literary theory, right. But it is a lot. So because like but I do like, so like and that's kind of where I'm at in the dilemma, is because on one hand I don't want to try and define an absolute good or absolute bad, because I want to be more, you know, free with my idea of like what art is and what art can be. But then, you know, I do recognize that like the acting in the room is not particularly good, and there's a lot of problems with it on a filmmaking level.
You know,
it's
shots just start and end with no consistency. Yeah. There's like all sorts of weird.
There's
things.
You know, like the just shot. Right, or yeah. Like I remember one specifically that I keep thinking of is like they're playing like catch, and there's like parts like and the camera, like there's, you like hear characters playing catch in the background, and it zooms out on two who aren't like holding the ball right now, and sometimes the ball will just come in. Like it's just so baffling and weird, some of the decisions that are being made, and you know, like it's just like there's so many sex scenes that it just like grinds the movie to the halt and plays jazzy music and they fuck, and just like like it's just such a,
it's an experience.
It is The Room is a movie. That is true. Right. Yeah, right. So it's like, and that's obviously the first one to point at. But then, and going back to your point of intent, Vindy, is I thought of Neo Yokio, which aired a few years ago. You know, and it was made to be, and it was I believe that one of the actual inspirations was Mad Bull 34 or something like that, which was an anime that is also considered so bad it's good. But here's a show that's deliberately being made with the intent to give off the vibe of those kind of things that are so bad they're good.
Right, because if you would say...
So in that point, like, you know, that definition of what, you know...
So if the...
Now it's not so bad it's good, it's so good it's good? Or
where if something's so bad that
you
it's
get
good,
the brain cogs in my brain are
actually
grinding to a halt.
If it's meant to be so bad that it's good, and you would say that, oh my god, that show's so bad that it's good, then you're not like, because I think okay, I'll say this and then I have to explain what I mean by it. But like, it's not like an ironically so bad it's good. That means the show is literally so good that it's so bad that it's good. Like that's what it's trying to do. So if you're going to say that it's so like bad that it's good, that's what the show wants from you. So that means the show did its job, which means it's just good art, right? Because ultimately, you know, if you want to look at art as, and this is also where I think, you know, I think this is something that reading Blue Period has helped me a lot to think about, because that's a lot of like what Blue Period is about is what is art. And it's almost like, you know, a large part of art is trying to convey a message in some form, right? From the person making that message to the receiver, right? And so one way I think you could judge art is how well does it convey the message that the sender wants to, you know, put in there, right? And if a show is trying to be a show that's so bad it's good, and you would say that about it, it conveyed that message perfectly, which means that in any way you want to think about it is good art, right? I'm current.
Right, but even then, that actually, how far are you in Blue Period? Oh, you're current. Well, because I was going to bring up, there's a part even in Blue Period where like the character with the braids even mentions how like, well, that's even just the idea of like looking for messages and things is like a contemporary view of art. And he brings up, because they were talking about one specific Raphael or something, a specific painter who painted like royalty and nobility. And Yatora at the time, he was like, okay, like, because he was focused on the meaning and the message, of course, going to his, like, thinking about his art. And here's, oh, wow, it's a really good painting of a girl in a dress. And he's like, wow, great, awesome, whatever. And I think he even says something about, he said something to his mom that was like the kind of thing that I would say. I feel like I was trying to remember what it, some more about focusing on the messages of the art or something like that. And then, but like, here's this artist who came up with these really interesting techniques and was still influential in the field of art on just a technical level, right? Even, you know, so it's like, and that's like, you know, that's interesting, you know, because like, again, we do focus on the meaning and stuff because again, we're in a, you know, contemporary, like that just means like present, you know, time period basically. So of course we have a contemporary view of art and we look for the meanings and how those technical things can enhance or, you know, observe the meanings of its own, right? Like the editing can be meaningful, right? The direction, et cetera. But, you know, so like,
what I would say is ultimately my response to that, like to that idea, isn't necessarily that it's not important to look for the meaning, but would be instead to change like to where like sometimes the point that an artist wants to get across and the message they're trying to give is actual just technical mastery, right? Or something along those lines, right? It doesn't actually have to be like a message like with like a meaning. Yeah, it could legitimately just be, you know, you want to make an action movie where you have really cool action, you have shit blow up. And if that is your entire intent, who, like, you know, you could say it's classist, it's whatever. It's like, who are you to say that that's bad art just because it doesn't have like that message? But I would still like it doesn't have like a theme that's like trying to, you know, have a moral or compass or something like that. Because I think it's more than fine for something to legitimately just have a very simple thing that they want to portray. It's still art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like whether it's
that's a good point, because like a lot of people will say they enjoy Michael Bay movies as that kind of thing, but like discount the idea of them being good because they're not like, again, kind of like they don't view it as like an intellectually stimulating work, but it's not necessarily trying to be that. So if you do enjoy them for what they're actually setting out to do, then they can't really, it's hard to like argue that it's supposed that you're just enjoying it because it's so bad it's good.
Right.
It just kind of seems like, you know, you are enjoying it for the reasons intended, but you don't recognize those are the intended reasons. Because I think people get in their head that like everything is trying to like be intellectually stimulating in certain ways, but it's not really the case. It's
like, I mean, I think like Goodfellas, right, isn't trying to be the same type of movie and the same type of experience for the viewer that, for example, like Captain America 1 is, right? And I think that that's okay. And I think that you could look at it as maybe that's even like, you know, on Martin Scorsese, why he says the MCU aren't real films is because the point of an MCU movie, not that it doesn't even have things it's trying to say, but ultimately what it's trying to do is not the same thing that, you know, Martin Scorsese is trying to do when he makes Goodfellas, and you can't hold them to the same standard of, well, this left me feeling very intellectually, like, I guess, satisfied, but not every piece of art has to do that. Not every piece of art wants to be that, and you can't expect that from everything.
Mm-hmm. Or even then, like, not every art wants to do that in the same way, because, I mean, like, I do think, like, even with, say, Michael Bay movies, Lindsay Ellis pulled out a whole, like, you know, 10-part series, deep diving and using the Transformers to explore the different types of literary theory and film theory, rather, excuse me. Right, so it's like, you know, like, even though, yeah, it's perfectly fine to enjoy the movies by, like I remember, like, in the feminist part, she even talks about,
Megan Fox?
What was the girl's name in the first movie? Why can't I remember? Yeah, I remember her, the actress, but I whatever. But, like, she actually had some interesting points about how, like, there's almost something there that could have been done in, like, a meaningful way, but it kind of clashed with Michael Bay's film style and how she was treated. Like the way she framed the character is like, hey, she's actually kind of almost a good character, but, you know, the movie didn't, like, handle her well enough to quite get there when, like, she actually has this I mostly remember because the way that is, like, the way the camera, like, oogles her early in the movie, but then she mentions how, like, you know, she likes cars, and then she's you know, struggled with, you know, the men in her life, basically. Like, there's a way that if the movie stopped oogling her and just looked at her more of a person by the end of the movie, it could have displayed, like, Sam's character arc as he looked at her more of a person. But, you know, that's not really Michael Bay's style, and it wasn't really what the film's like, you know, just that, like, you know, because, like, going back to even just so bad it's good, like, there's different, appeals to things even just in individual movies, like The Room, you know, aside from it's like what it, you know, fails or accomplishes on a technical level. Like, again, I mentioned earlier that I think the message, like, you know, the way that it frames the love relationship is like women are manipulative for, like, alluring men, and the men in the movie do no wrong. They are just they're completely at the mercy of the allure of the women, and, like, that's just kind of how I remember it. That it treated the narrative treating its characters in that way. So I think, like, so it's not, you know, the message of the movie are bad, but also no one kind of cares because it's just funny to watch, right? So yeah, it's this is a big topic. Holy shit!
I almost think, like, part of the not recognizing that other things aren't trying to be, like, really interesting to think about in ways, and more so just, like, enjoyable, comes down to kind of this almost like overemphasis.
Right, everyone wants to be smart, and everyone wants to think that they're watching, like,
things, you know, analysis
the right
can help
way,
you enjoy a lot of things and appreciate a lot of things more. But it almost feels like the increase of people talking about being analytical about things has almost, like, become this almost, like, overcorrection, I guess, of, like, a previous idea of where people weren't doing it at all, but now people, like, think it's, like, way more important than, I mean, it is really important, but it's not, like, the only thing there is to appreciate about, like, a movie is it's, like, themes, or it's fucking, like there's just multiple different ways to enjoy something. And I think because people are so stuck on, like, being analytical that they start to miss those things. And I don't know, like, I think other people can not have to be analytical and find other reasons to, like, enjoy a movie and find their thing that they can focus on. I don't know, I think it is an interesting topic, I guess, with, like, just thinking, like, you know, because something isn't, like, super thematically interesting, it must be lesser in some kind of way. And I think when it comes to like films, it's especially hard to recognize, I think. But like I feel like people understand this when it comes to games, like where people be like, you know, this game can have a kind of nothing story, but its gameplay is really fucking fun, so it's still a really good game. Or this game has like a really good story, but its gameplay isn't like the best.
Right, because
there's
the two, you know, there's very clearly there's two very clear that, like, differences,
better
right?
idea,
and that's just because even though you can express gameplay through story, gameplay is at its core mechanical and is very different from the story, right? So
yeah, the gameplay, I think, because when you
those
consider like
so
technical
similar.
and narrative, like when you're watching a movie, the technical aspects can be invisible to you as a viewer in ways that when you're physically playing a video game, you cannot hide the technical aspects of the game because you have a controller in your hand, right? Like, it's kind of impossible.
Right. And I also think a thing with games is just everyone has video games that they play that either don't have a story or the story doesn't matter because the story is not why you're playing, right?
Right,
you know, whether that's you play Mario Party with friends or you play like an online game with friends, you don't care about the story of that game. That's not why you're playing. So people are already more used to separating that narrative difference from that,
but just different stories. I think that's kind of an idea that needs to be learned and recognized. Because currently I just don't think it's like as understood, especially when it comes. I think especially when it comes to like people watching like maybe episodic series or like like anime that's for like children or whatever. I think it prevents people from enjoying it because they don't understand the appeal. Like I think not everyone would enjoy it if they went into it with a different mindset. But I think some people would enjoy it if they thought about it a little differently.
Yeah, it kind of like, you know, because people will say, oh, the medium is the meaning, but then they won't actually step back and consider, like, the medium beyond how they're experiencing. Like, I'm an adult, therefore this children's show should appeal to me. And their reasoning is like, well, these other children's shows do appeal to me because there are some, like, Avatar: The Last Airbender that I think are accessible to kids while also, you know, there's stuff you can get out of them as adults, right? And lots of anime and manga,
and so then that's
sure.
when you get people... that's when you get lots of people talking about children's shows and saying like that, like, you know, or talking about children's media, and they say like children's media should also appeal to adults because that's what children's media is.
Really bad mindset. And like,
but if we lose all the media that appeals to children, then the children aren't going to watch the media. I guess to give a recent example that I have thought about a lot is I remember so Kamen Rider Revice is the current Kamen Rider series, and the gimmick of the series is inner demons, and so the main character, when he transforms, he's Kamen Rider Revi, or Revi, and he has his inner demon is Kamen Rider Vice. So he has like this goofy, always in a costume guy around him, and he's like very comic relief. And I feel like whenever because I've seen a couple comments of people who don't like the show, and they tend not to like Vice because he is like a reminder that this is a show that is for children. And that's kind of the vibe I get when people complain about it. Because, and like, sure, don't like the show, but again, like, you know, and like it's a fucking children's show. But the Kamen Rider series that they do like don't have those elements that remind them that it's a children's show. Like Kamen Rider Kuga, which I watched recently, doesn't really have like you know, it's you know, there's goofy bugmen and costumes and stuff, but it's also just kind of like a police show with a really idealistic main character who helps people and stuff. But you know, I could see why someone could enjoy that, even though it is a children's show. But like, because it doesn't shove the childishness in your face, right? But yeah, like we need stuff for children that children will enjoy, because like we can't like hello, like yeah.
I think there's a little bit of tangent, but like I was thinking about a little bit recently about just like, I forget what the conversation was, but there was something that like I felt like it was an actual example of me not being interested in it because I actually felt like I grew out of enjoying that kind of thing, but not like, and I think, and I kind of expressed how I felt like people, because there are plenty of like children's shows that you can still enjoy while you're older, that means all of them must be that way. Whereas like you can just have grown out of something, and like that, and saying that you grew out of it doesn't take away from what it is at all and doesn't make it like bad or anything. And it is interesting that I feel like growing out of, like, saying that you grew out of something is like more often than not looked at as negative because of this like new view that like all children's media should just like appeal to most people, unless it's like a preschool thing. Then
like I think like because
then you'd have to be you have to be insane to not understand that.
Right, like if someone said, I mean, to be fair, if someone said they felt like they grew out of One Piece, I would probably like have at least a knee-jerk negative reaction, just because like I still really enjoy it as an adult and for a lot of reasons, right? But then like I guess to go maybe wind it back a little bit, because to give two examples, like relevant examples that I can think of, is like because I think I kind of had that mindset when I first got into both Precure and Aikatsu. Because the first season of Aikatsu and then the Precure a la mode. Because for the first like 10 episodes or so of both of those shows, I was kind of like not super vibing with it, but I was kind of like, I'll watch more of it. Why not? Like I might have dropped it, even though I was, I recognized that they were children's shows, but I wasn't necessarily getting the same thing, out of it. Like I might have gotten other stuff, and I kept with them, and then I got things out of them, so that happened, But now, like I wouldn't hold like even a less interesting, season of Super Sentai or Aikatsu or Precure or whatever. I'm not gonna be super gung ho about it. But yeah, to give another example is like, because I do think about like because I watched a lot of cartoons growing up, and a lot of them I haven't seen or touched in literally like over 20 years, and like I thought about like, okay, would I be able to watch Rugrats as a 30-year-old man? I don't know, and I'm leaning to no. And if like that's fine if I wouldn't like it as an adult, but because it was still the show that I really enjoyed as a kid, and that's nothing against someone who happens to enjoy the show now.
Rugrats goes hard. Tommy Pickles tries to fucking murder his brother in cold fucking blood in the movie. Shit goes dummy hard.
I remember, But yeah, like I just like it's just one of those, because again, I haven't actually gone back to watch the show, which would be, I don't know, like I like even just watching. I think we were watching. Oh, it was Kaku Ranger, and like halfway through the show, they introduced the first mech that they get in Power Rangers in the Ninja season, because they actually like swapped the order that they get the mechs in that season. And that whole episode, like during the fight, I was just like crushed under the weight of like my childhood memories coming back to me, because like I so vividly remember that episode of Power Rangers, and that was the coolest fucking shit I'd ever seen, because when they fought Rito Repulso and the Skelly Boy, and then I watch it in Kaku Ranger for the first time, and it's like this climactic moment where they get the robot for the first time, and they're beating this antagonist who's been hounding them for a few episodes, but I recognized all the suit action because it was like used, and I was like losing my shit, and I was just like, the nostalgia was hitting me so hard, like seeing, and it was like I don't know. I forgot why I brought that up. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I liked hearing about that, so okay. It justifies it.
But anyway, we have gone a bit off of the topic.
Yeah, okay. I have another part to this. I think sometimes fucking cowards will use so bad it's good as a way to defend liking something that they genuinely enjoy, instead of trying to figure out why they enjoy it and find the good in it. Because something might be, very widely hated, right? I think one of the biggest examples I can think of for this is people will say that about SAO. A lot of people say that about SAO because it's very common that SAO not good, or at the very least SAO pre-Alicization not good, right? And I think that like people like it before that say a lot it's so bad it's good, and I think that it's so good it's good.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I'm rewatching it, and I just think it's a good show. Like, even from the beginning, and I think it also happens, like, because, again, there's definitely, like, a cultural recognition of, like, things that are, quote-unquote, typically seen as bad. Like, because another show I was thinking of that might be called So Bad It's Good, when I actually think it's actually a pretty good show, is Orient. Where it's, like, I understand why, like, it has this sort of, like, stigma around it because of, how it ends. But it is actually, like, interesting and well made of a show, and I'm like, so because when I watched that, I was like, wow, this is actually like a good show. But it, because it's got the baggage, like SAO has the sexual assault and Sugaha wanting to fuck her, Kirito and their incest, right, and then Orimo, like incest, like it's just like those kind of things. Just people like, I don't know, it's because yeah, it does bug me when like, you know, again, like, because I was thinking about that earlier with like The Room is like, if someone's called that so bad it's good, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. But if someone called, yeah, like you said, SAO so bad it's good, I'm like,
it's
okay,
so good.
Hold on.
Yeah, and
Excuse
so that
me.
I think, but it's such an easy, you know what I mean? And I know that our previous member felt that way with Love Live, right? Where a lot of people would use so bad it's good, or I just like it for the cute girls. I know the other stuff's bad as a way to
When Love Live
hide from having to actually explain that you unabashedly like something, and that's okay. And you know what? If you really like something, there very easily could be something there that is why you like it.
Right, and that was someone who watched Love Live for the meme because he thought it would be funny, and it became his favorite piece of media of all time, and he had a lot to say about how good it was, like, technically, and, like on a personal, emotional level, right? Of, you know, like, so it's just, like, yeah, like, that's why, you know, like, because I think, and also the way So Bad is, yeah, it's kind of going back to, like, liking things that aren't generally seen as, like, used as a shield to protect you when you, like, yeah, SAO, or things that aren't seen as, like, technically good, like, Monster, or Legend of Galactic Heroes, ooh, but it's, like, using it, just like that, using it as a shield and, like, you know, hiding yourself, like, it's just, like, it's just, yeah, like, you're kind of, yeah, you're hiding shit. Am I just rephrasing what Vindy said? I thought I had something to add, but my brain stopped working. Sorry.
Sad. Yeah, I mean, so I don't think that it's so bad it's good doesn't like actually exist or anything, but I also think it's like not the most helpful way to describe what you're feeling, because especially the shield thing, like I don't like, it's definitely not it's so bad it's good when you actually just like it. But I do think people, like, I've watched the live action Mario movie, and I thought it was very funny, but I mean, like, I don't really like it. Like, I don't know, it's like, it's weird because it's like that would be something where someone would use "it's so bad it's good," and I've never really thought about like "it's so bad it's good" as a descriptor for that movie, but like I would if I used that term, because it's like I don't really think it's good, but it's also like I thought it was like unintentionally funny.
I did remember what I was trying to get to.
There are definitely a lot of intentional funny moments that happen in it that I probably did also like kind of laugh at, but there's also other parts where it's like I don't think it's supposed to be funny in this way, because it's like, I think like just certain moments where it's just like a design looking so off from the game, it's just like very funny. I don't know, and like just a lot of weird stuff in that movie that I don't know, I don't think it was like all intentional. So I definitely do think there are ways that you can think something's not good but enjoy it, so it's so bad it's good would like fit.
Yeah, well, I also think, I mean, hold on, give me a second. I had something to say and I lost it. Okay, yeah, you go.
I remember what I had to say earlier when I did lose it. So, but going back to, like, because I was gonna bring up, like, so bad it's good as a shield, but not only as a shield of like things you like, but like a shield from criticism, right? Like, so, like, say I like SAO, and someone says, hey, I have an issue for disliking SAO. It is this, and it's so bad it's good. That just kind of like dismisses a possible discussion, right? And I think, like, I just think it, because another thing, because you were talking about how, like, the need to be intellectual is kind of so pervasive, and I do think, like, and I guess this goes back to the other half of the topic, which we have not even fucking touched, is, the trash taste, basically, the, trash media, whereas, like, which I did hear someone suggest, and it makes sense, where, like, as a response to, like, two people trying to be smart and have good taste about their media, is so you have people, instead of, like, trying to find the interesting and really good things in shows like SAO, instead they're just like, oh, it's trash, oh, it's so bad it's good, and they're just like, because they maybe don't have that ability to recognize it, and don't want to, because, like, especially when their image of the guy who is smart about the thing is also an elitist prick who is being an elitist prick, right? So it's like, you know, it furthers a dichotomy when I don't think there needs to be a dichotomy, maybe. You know, because like as someone who enjoys SAO and is kind of tends to be smart about the medias and stuff. Occasionally, I guess, I don't know.
No, I
no one has anything to add.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm trying to remember what I had to say.
I mean, I was just thinking of like, sorry, I was just thinking about how like I'm watching Elfen Lied right now with Dot and Mega Graphics, and I definitely think there's very, very bad things about it. I think the MC's a total bot. Like this man fucking, like when they tell, like at the beginning, it's like the second episode, I'm pretty sure, so it's not like a spoiler, but police come to his door, and they say that they're looking for this girl who murdered 14 people, and then this other guy's like, wait, no, never mind, that was just a joke. She's actually just a missing person. And then he's like, and he heard that she killed multiple people, and he thinks about it a little bit, but then he just kind of like ignores it and wants to keep her anyway. It's just like, okay, dude. And then it's like, then like I get like there's things there with like, I mean, I don't know if this is a spoiler because it's like I haven't even seen the actual result, so it's like it's just me predicting it based on like multiple different reasons, but it is clear that like Lucy has some kind of connection to his sister. I won't go into it because I think there's almost no way that I'm not right on it, but she has some connection to his sister, and it probably plays into why he feels this like need to protect her. And so like it makes sense, but it's just like I also just think like the main character is just so basic, and he's like so, the way he acts is just, I don't think it's good when I think about it. And I think Lucy just saying new all the time is just terrible. But I've been enjoying watching it, partially because I'm watching with other people, but partially just because like I do think things that I think are bad can be enjoyable to watch. Like I guess as long as it's not like bad in like a boring way, I guess can be pretty enjoyable. I don't know, it's kind of, it is weird to like have a good way to describe what you're feeling about like a show that's like you can recognize all these things.
Yeah,
I don't
was actually,
like, but you're still enjoying the experience
earlier,
of watching
was like
it.
basically about like the experience, where like I think another example of something where I had a great experience watching it, and I don't know if that was like, I don't know if I can say that I think the movie is so bad it's good, because I do think that the movie has legitimately like solid things, but it's also like it's hard to separate that from like my very subjective experience, which is Space Jam 2, right? Where I loved Space Jam 2 when we watched it in Discord, and we had a good time, and I was like super drunk, and it was just like psychopathic, and the movie was just insane, right? Was like legitimately really fun, and I had a really good time watching Space Jam 2. I obviously wouldn't have that much fun watching it, you know, alone. So is that just like part of the intended experience, or is that, you know, the experience shapes how I see the art? It's really hard at that point. It gets really muddled with like how you describe it and what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess maybe that's another problem with like So Bad It's Good, or even trash media, where it just kind of like, it takes an entire work with all these different like technical aspects and thematic aspects.
Motorcycle guy.
And yes, he's there when I'm trying to make a point. Yeah, let's go. But it just like files it all under, and yeah, like personal aspects, and just files all of it under bad or good, when obviously, like, again, like people and art is just more nuanced than that, right? Like I can mention The Room, say I enjoyed it, say I also think it has some pretty bad messages, but then, or like I can even say it like something I do like has like Liar Game is a good example, where I walked away from that manga with, at the time, an 8 out of 10. It went down to like a 7 out of 10. I still like the manga, but we spent that Weeb Club episode mostly bitching about the manga. Like, I have a lot of problems with Liar Game, but I still like it, right? Like, that's just a thing that can happen, and that's perfectly fine, right? Like, I don't think Liar Game is so bad it's good, you know, but I do like it, and I recognize that it has some issues that, so it's like that just happens, and I think that's fine. And I just think that the way like So Bad It's Good and trash media have these kind of like absolute, again, going back to what I earlier, it kind of kills discussion because it can be dismissive or reductive or as a shield, right? Where like, oh, you don't have to think about it more. Because and it's just like it's unhelpful, I think.
I do think it's one of those things where it's like it's an unnecessary label to put on something as opposed to just explaining like your conflicted way of how you feel about it. Like you don't have to make the judgment that it's bad at all, really. You can you can lay out all your problems with it, but you can also like explain what it is about it that like keeps you watching and keeps you engaged. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have like a massive problem with someone calling something it's so bad it's good, but it's also it's not really something I think about.
See, you say that, but there are things. The problem is, and it does come back to something Krause mentioned earlier, where it's like, I even said at the start, right, where it's like, I get why people say it. I understand why the phrase is used a lot. I think the phrase means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and I don't agree with all instances of it the same way that I do agree with some, right? Like I don't agree with all, but I agree with a good amount. And like The Room is a great example where I understand why, but then like Craftsdwarf said with One Piece, if someone called One Piece So Bad It's Good or called Naruto So Bad It's Good, I'd get a little upset,
right?
Because I think that that's not looking at the series at what it actually is doing. And so I think that makes it very, very complicated.
Sad. I think when it comes to like...
Oh, that GIF you keep posting is from Elfen Lied. Okay. Now I get it.
This fucking guy.
Sorry, I saw you just women beating. Haha, funny. But then I saw your tweet, so I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's funnier now. Sorry.
What was I gonna say? I feel like when people, to talk about like the trash media thing a little bit, I think a big part of it is, at least a big part of the culture and the notion around trash media is like overall kind of like dog shit, because it's like it is just kind of putting a bunch of different shows in this one box of like there are all these trash things, so it's like the only reasons that people enjoy them can't actually be like actually positive and actually like good things about them. Like they're just kind of dismissing them as all this bunch of trash media, and like the only route to enjoy them is to like either watch them for the sake of shitting on them, or just kind of like turning your brain off, or kind of just kind of ways to dodge this idea that they could possibly be good. You can watch them and like agree that you don't like them and you do actually think they're trash, but like it's really I think this like just idea of like how like trash media is just kind of like really a bad mindset to have and to go into experiencing something with most of the time.
Yeah, and I guess going back to like just I think it does kind of fall into a similar bubble as like with technical parts, like I mentioned the 180 rule, right, where general art has guidelines that people maybe hyperfixate on when they can be broken meaningfully, or like my character development video where like, hey, characters growing and changing to be better people isn't the only way that a story is to be told, nor should it be, because here's some other ways that you could tell good stories, right? So with like things being bad or good, Plunderer or Sora no Toshimono are great examples of stories that use things that would be considered trashy, and I do think deliberately so. Like, I think Minazuki is actually like, he recognizes the perception of the tropes and ideas that he's using, and is specifically using them because it's, he's also, I mean, he's also just telling a good, interesting story, but like, being dismissive of these, his stuff is, like, I really like both of those manga, right? And they do really fucking great shit with the he does really good stuff with the tropes and ideas that he uses, right? So like that's kind of where
he makes a panty shot a legitimate feminist moment,
right? Like right, like just like exactly, just like a filmmaker can break the 180 rule and make a better piece of art for it. Like he's using these tropes and ideas and is making good art from that. And so like just like holding things into like bad and good, it kind of just like it can easily be reductive with the same for the same reason, right? Which isn't to say that, again, there isn't like, like I understand when someone calls something like The Room bad, there's stuff I like that like I think I was thinking about it, like because I on a technical level, like I don't think Aikatsu is as impressive as Love Live, but I personally like Aikatsu more. So, oh well, right? Like that just happens, right? So, yeah. I feel like we're about done, but if you guys have any more points to bring up, I don't mind.
No, I'm good with the topic.
Sad.
Okay, yeah, that was a good discussion though.
I agree.
So everyone's weekly favorite time to prove to me that you guys actually watched the episode of Orient.
Orient. That's my proof.
Sword trial.
Motorcycle guy supported me. He loves Orient too.
Okay, Nun, say something in the episode that Vinny didn't mention.
So I mean, what the fuck is his name? Musashi.
Sword trial pog. There, that's my proof.
Musashi failed his trial and couldn't get his sword, and he's
okay,
big sad.
You guys both watched the episode. Okay, I'm sorry that I have to check. I shouldn't have to fucking check.
Why?
Just have trust in your friends.
I wish I could.
No.
Wow. Failed.
2 weeks ago. That's what I was just saying.
I thought the episode was okay. It was an episode of Orient. I did think Musashi being into that lady was very funny. And he's also very correct because she's like actually just the best looking lady so far. He failed test. He's sad. I am kind of interested to see like what will make him be able to use that sword, because we do see the sword in the opening and it's the same sword that rejected him. Mm-hmm. So it is interesting that he's not going to just get like a different sword. He's just going to like go back and challenge that sword again. So I am curious to see like what exactly will make him be able to use it. And we do see the guy come up to him at the end of the episode, and he's like him. He's like, he has something wrong with him. So that'll be interesting. I also really liked Kojiro finally getting recognition, and he actually gets to take a W finally. He got cucked last episode, but now he's like chatting out and being appreciated. I think I'm starting to like him the most.
I also like the part where he was like, "Wow, this sword! Everyone's completely ignoring it. It's just like me." He emotionally connects to this sword that just no one gives a shit about. And it's on brand for Kojiro. Yeah, I like that part. Because the rest of it was just like, they're trying to explain the power system that I already know, and all this stuff is happening that I already know. So it was. They
also do have like that little detail of the girl like saying how she needs direction. So I was also surprised that Musashi didn't want to be the leader at all, because I was expecting it as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there was also the fucking weird girl that he hugged him during the sword trial, and then fucking tried to like what the fuck was that was the thing that happened.
Vindy loves Orient, as you can tell.
I'm excited to watch Sono Bisque for next week.
Can you just say some
final
words about
ask Vindy to
Orient?
prove that he watched the
What
anime.
do you mean? Like I said, sword trials.
Okay, give us words that prove that you didn't just like skim through the episode.
I didn't skim through it. It was on. All 20 minutes were on. Now, do not ask me if I paid attention to all 20 minutes. But I turned them on. I swear to God, I turned them on.
Vindy, you gotta trust your friends.
Okay,
fuck
can I
you.
be completely honest?
Can you?
I barely paid attention to last week's episode, so I had nothing to say for that one, but I watched whatever. So this is episode 7. I watched episode 5, but I didn't watch episode 6, but it was on. And so I couldn't watch episode 7 without knowing what happened in episode 6. But I wasn't about to go back and rewatch episode 6. So I decided that my best bet was to try to fake it through this episode and switch it to Sono Bisque.
I'm not watching Sono Bisque.
Week.
No! Chad Nunn! Chad fucking Nunn!
I'm not watching Sono Bisque. Watch those 2 episodes.
Not until Vindy actually watches and discusses an episode of
I talked more than Nunmanji the first half of that goddamn show. Just because now...
You did not talk more than Nunmanji the last 2 episodes. Tell you what, if you talk a comparable amount to Nunmanji next time on Orient episode 8, we'll switch to Sono Bisque after that.
That requires watching 3 episodes of a show that I don't like. Can I just fake my way through the rest of the season?
Okay, dude.
That's my new goal. Is to watch my new goal is
Vindy
to watch
reveals
as
his
little of the
tiny
show
brain.
as fucking possible and still fake my way through it. And I'm gonna fucking make it work. You're not ready. All right, I accept your challenge.
It would be really easy to do, but you're too tiny.
I'm not gonna read the manga. Okay, I don't want to do that.
Okay,
No.
see, that's all you had to do was read the manga and then just like check
I
okay, anime
wasn't
was at this
interested
part.
in it.
Okay, I know what happens. Like that's all you had to do.
Damn.
Motherfucker.
The anime just fucking killed Vindy's interest in Orient as a whole.
Like, I'm just not interested.
Perfectly fine manga.
I'm sure it is, and I'm perfectly fine to not read it.
All right, fuck you.
Magi's good though.
Hey,
Actually,
that
read Magi. It's just, it's way better. I'm sorry. Anyway,
We'll see.
kill yourself.
Whoa!
All right, done. What have you been up to this week?
Okay. What do you have to say, Vindy?
I don't like that I was called out. I was perfectly okay to just fucking skim through this week and be fine. And I was so excited to watch Son of Biscuit, and now I'm upset. I feel like
because you tried to pull the wool over your friends.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I did.
Alleged
Fuck yeah, I did.
eyes.
And you know what? I was so
And got
close.
caught.
If it wasn't for you fucking meddling
Good.
kids and
Feel
that damn
bad.
dog.
I was about to bark and I didn't want to put that on the internet. Go ahead, Nun.
What is the sound version of an NFT? Okay, Craftsdwarf bark, please.
Go ahead, Nun.
I finished Pokemon. It's really good.
We're gonna talk about that on a podcast. Hello.
I mean the anime. You fucking.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Fucking-
Sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway,
You've been hounding me about finishing Pokemon Gold for the last
Silver
like 3
is
weeks.
like really great, and just kidding.
No.
I mean, I finished the Pokemon anime.
Sorry.
I thought it was really good. It's definitely, I definitely have a new appreciation for it because I think it's just like, I think Indigo League is like, for how like short it is in comparison to every other season and how compact of a story it is. I just think it's like kind of just the best thing that you could watch to experience the anime without necessarily having to continue if you didn't want to. I think it's literally just a distillation of everything that's like important to Pokemon, because I think it does a really good job of just emphasizing the point isn't for Ash to win all the time and to like he doesn't have to catch them all, and he's like, and the anime like says it in the greatest words possible, where like it'll emphasize Ash didn't win, but he's a winner at life. Like they literally just straight up say in like one of the outros that yeah, he won at life, and like, or like something like, you know, he may have delayed his he may have been like delayed getting to the league, but he made a new friend, and it's like it always just kind of like emphasizes this point, and I think I really appreciated watching that, and like I think it's really great as a kids show about like just kind of, you know, how Ash just does actually just lose a lot, and I thought how it handled him losing the league was really, really good, because like, you know, he does kind of like lose because Charizard fucked him over. Like, you know, Charizard would have like beat Richie so easily, but he didn't want to fight because Charizard's racist. Like, that's actually a thing. He's racist. Because it literally says he's only interested in fighting fire-type Pokemon. He'll only respect them. So
silly man.
And like he stomps and knocks over Richie's Pikachu. So it's like him just stomping knocks his Pikachu flat, but then he doesn't want to fight after that. So it's like he would have beat the shit out of fucking Richie. But I thought it was really good because, like, one, I think Ash has kind of been ignoring Charizard for a while. Like, he's recognized Charizard's like had this problem with him, but he's just like, instead of like calling him out and kind of trying to like get along with him, he's just been straight up avoiding him for like multiple episodes. The entire tournament, he doesn't even try to use Charizard. And it is really just like that last moment, like at the last moment, that's when he's like, I should call out Charizard. But by then it's like, it's kind of too late. Like didn't really, he didn't solve the problem, so he kind of lost. And it's also like, I really think how it ends off with like Ash losing and being really disappointed about that, but like his little group that he built up, like of Misty, Brock, Oak, and his mom, just like standing there waiting for him, and then, like he runs towards them at the end of the episode. It was like, like it was so good. Like, and I like that his group was like a little smaller, but it still meant a lot to him after like being through all of those episodes. And I thought it was like really great. And I really liked how it had like a little montage of his whole like league journey with the opening song. Kind of just always the best thing ever. Like I think a montage with the opening is just awesome every time. I guess some like standout episodes that I really like that I still think about is whatchamacallit, Ash versus Surge. That's a really good episode. Just Pikachu not evolving but still beating Raichu. I really liked the episode with the Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar. It's just lonely, and like I thought it was like super wholesome to see like Ash just play with them and kind of become friends with them. The Pokemon movie is of course really good. Not the like literal highlight of the entire thing though. I actually just I like a surprising amount of the series more than the movie after having seen it. Not that the movie isn't good, but I don't know. I felt like the first half or so wasn't as like good as I remember it being, I think. Was still cool though. I like how Ash tries to punch Mewtwo, and not for the imagine trying to punch a Mewtwo. No, it was really cool. Like I thought Ash having all of these Pokemon surrounding him, but he himself decides that he is going to challenge Mewtwo. Like all the other Pokemon are gonna stand back while he challenges Mewtwo. I thought that was so cool. I also like how during the movie, Team Rocket actually decides to become good. Like they learn their lesson that fighting is bad and all these things are bad, and they say that they're going to become good. And the only reason they don't is because Mewtwo wipes everyone's memories, but they're legitimately going to be good. I thought it was kind of weird though that it did wipe everyone's memories. Like it's weird because it's like I feel like they all learned this lesson from what happened, so I don't really understand Mewtwo's reason for wanting to wipe their memories. Like I do kind of get him.
Quick question:
okay.
Did you?
What did you say?
Did you watch it dubbed or subbed?
Dubbed, because I'm watching.
Okay, because I do wonder because I've heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but I have heard of that there were some changes in the dub, so I don't know what
I know a little
the
bit
sub does. So,
but
well, I know not more like not just like scene changes, like because there's the whole like opening sequence that it just wasn't in the original.
I had that scene.
American release. You know the one with the. Yeah,
it really just wasn't on the original
like
airing, but on like DVD and stuff, it is included. So it is like dubbed and all.
Not VHS either, because I had the VHS and I had not seen it until I was much older.
Big sad.
So, no, I've heard, also I just heard I vaguely remember a script change or something about the line of like Mewtwo's the one good line that people quote may not have been there in the sub, but I can't verify that. It was like a tweet I saw. I don't know if it's true. So
I mean, yeah. It's a really good line.
But I'm saying that they might have like completely changed the point of the movie to make it more like idealistic and accessible to kids because America.
Yeah, I mean I am interested in
moms,
one day watching Indigo League in the movie subbed. I think all of Indigo League is subbed. I know definitely not all of the anime subbed, but I think Indigo League is all subbed. I don't know. I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think because of how...
And yeah, I'm not saying like, oh, the sub version is definitely better, but maybe that specific element makes more sense. I don't know. Or maybe it doesn't. Who knows? It could just be a worse version of the movie. I don't know.
But I guess, like, yeah, I don't really fully understand why he would erase their memories. Like, I get it from the perspective of, like, he doesn't want the world to know he exists, and he also wants to go off with the other Pokemon that he cloned to live off somewhere else. So, I mean, it is fine. It does make sense that he erased their memories, but it is also a little bit unfortunate because he does kind of, like, understand that they all learned something that day. And I guess I think it's the one movie that does actually just justify not having to be referenced ever again, because like the other movies, Ash meets legendaries, but then in the anime he doesn't remember them for some reason, which is like kind of cringe. But in this movie,
that'll fucking happen with him apparently in like was it season 5 where he just has forgotten Pokemon that he's met a lot or something.
Yeah, I think there's seasons where that comes up, but I think it's especially egregious with legendaries, because it's like you won't know, like I think if the staff changes and stuff, they won't know all the episodes, but I think with the movies you kind of would know which legendaries he's met. I feel like they're easier to keep track of. It's whatever though.
None.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I really like the opening.
If we reach 2,000 subscribers this year,
I'm going to miss it.
Yes. With me. I'll let you pick which of the two parts. I'll let you pick which of the two parts you want to do.
It's literally not going to happen.
Okay, so would you do it with me if we did?
We're not reaching that, so sure.
Okay, so you will.
Okay.
Is that a yes or a no?
It's not going to happen, so.
Okay, so okay. No, wait. I want to make sure we get this for sure. If the Weeb Club hits 2,000 subscribers by the end of 2022, you will do the poker rap with me. All right, hey. People heard that in here.
Yeah. Not
Spread that. Make sure everyone knows. None, I hope you want to do the singing part, King.
Not going to happen.
All right.
Okay.
Remember when I said earlier we'd talk about my autism? Here we are. Okay.
Sounds like it's your turn, Vindy.
I tried last week to talk about a book. Maybe I was the problem. It sounds like I might have been, but I was not able to talk about it. The book was like 1,200 something pages, right? I started on Monday the sequel, the second book, which was 1,305 pages, and I finished it last night. I've been a fucking psycho. I haven't done anything this week because I've been reading this goddamn book the whole time. And it's fucking great. It was fucking awesome. The climax went so dummy hard that I want to talk about. So the first book in the series, it's the Stormlight Archives. The first book was Way of Kings. The second book was Words of Radiance. Fucking great book. It doesn't crack my top 3. I don't think. It might. I have to give it some time. But I don't know if it cracks like my book top 3, but it's very close to it. And I definitely think the books 3 or 4 are going to, because so it does something really interesting, right? Where the books are long as fuck, right? Like the first one was like 1,250 pages. Second was 1,300. The entire first book until the last maybe 50 pages, no, a little bit before that, but really until the climax of the book, no two of the major characters you focus on interact at all, right? But then when you get to book 2, all the major characters that you're focusing on and reading from the same perspectives, all of a sudden are not only in the same place, but all of their stories are intertwining. But the thing that makes them all different is nobody knows what the other person can do, right? Because a lot of the characters
they're just meeting for the first time.
Yeah, they're meeting and they're their stories are entrapping them into each other, I guess, but they don't have the exact same stories yet, because they don't all know what information the other person has, and they're keeping their information because they all and the reader have very, very small pieces of what's actually, because the entire time book 1 is all about this very small scale story in terms of the world that very quickly balloons through book 2 and then into past that into a very large major part of the story. And so as that happens, you kind of reach okay, the story's getting bigger, and each of the main characters you're reading from have very tiny pieces of information that some of that tiny pieces of information the other main characters that you're reading from know, and a lot of it they're hiding in book 2, right? Because they all know each other and they know who each other are, but they don't know who the other people are in terms of what their goals are, because their goals are all very similar, but they don't know that in book 2. So it's super interesting to read because there are some characters that cannot stand each other, that do not like each other, that are mistrustful of each other, but you're reading it and you like both characters because they're both characters that we're on the same side once everything kind of comes out. And by the end of book 2, everyone's on the same page. And that really happens in the last 200 pages of that book, where it's super interesting because you read a shit, like most of the book, everything until the climax, until the last of 5 parts, and like it's so like there's so much going on, and there's all these characters, and they're not all on the same page, but they kind of are. And then that last 200-page stretch is them all getting on the same page, learning all of these secrets about one another, and then a bunch of other things happening. And so it's just so cathartic after 2 books to finally get all these characters like on the same page. And some of like them getting on the same page also requires like major personal development from some of the characters, where they really have to like basically part of like how the power system in the world works, like actually at least for the main characters, is like they have to kind of overcome their own mental traumas to like unlock like their next level of power, kind of. So a lot of the book is most of the major characters are very like either depressed or like really hate themselves and who they've become or what they've done in their past. And so a lot of like for them getting stronger, they only like gain more power when they overcome their own like mental problems. And so it becomes like this very cathartic series where you're reading from a character who's depressed for 2 books, and then he kind of has these moments where he's cracking out of it, and every time he does, he gets like physically stronger in the world, which is like super awesome and makes the series like really like great to read, because you really like connect to a lot of these characters emotionally, because like in a weird way the source of their strength is kind of like their like emotional scars that they carry, because it's
or
through,
ability
like,
to overcome those
they get
rather,
stronger.
right?
Yeah. So it's really fucking good. And so then the books are also really dense with themes. I was thinking about this while I was reading the other day. There's like a lot of different themes, because there's like this like inherent theme of like racism and like classism in the society that's touched on, as well as like doing the right thing. Like one of the major characters, his whole thing is like about like be like, you know, doing his things with honor, right? So it's like, you know, about protecting people who cannot protect themselves, and protecting people he doesn't like, even if it's the right thing to do. Like, because it's the right thing to do, he has to protect this person who he might hate, but if they can't protect themselves and it's the right thing to do to be there for them, he will. And so it's like him having to kind of reach these conclusions to become a better person. And every time he makes like that step, and those steps come in these like major like climax moments of the book, right? Where he like is forced to finally challenge his own worldview and like grow it a step. He then gets this extra step of power, and you already like the guy because he's a good guy. So when you see him like finally continue to be a good guy and break out of like this funk that he's been in for the last, you know, chunk of the book, where he's been like kind of a dick and kind of not really doing what he should be, and you're like kind of pissed at him because you're like, you're not being the fucking good guy you're supposed to be. And he overcomes that, and like with that comes like power. It's really fucking cathartic actually to read. And I don't want to get too into like the specifics, because I really think that like people should read these books, but there are just so many moments that are just like so good and so like emotional, or like, you know, I'm like, when I was reading the last 200 pages last night when I got home from work, I was like either like pogging out of my mind for like 5 pages at a time. I was like actually mouth agape because I was so like excited about it, or I like legitimately cried multiple times. It's really fucking good. And so I really, really like it.
Thank you, Vindy. Very cool.
Cool.
It's awesome.
Real quick question.
What
are your top 3 books?
It's Ender's Game is my favorite book, and then is To Kill a Mockingbird and Treasure Island.
Okay.
And then like cool. 4 and 5 would probably be like Dune, and then maybe 1984.
Didn't you just read your 4th favorite book?
But
you just said 4 and 5 were Dune in 19.
I know. I don't know where it stands. Again,
gotcha. Okay, that's your top 5 yesterday. Before you finish this book. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
I finished it yesterday, and I generally don't like to rate anything in a series on my favorites.
That's fair.
Until I either catch up.
Because it's a
10-book series and 4 books are out. So I have 2 more books to read. It is very possible with like where the story is right now that even the parts where I don't think they were super
top
slow,
3,
right? But they could have a lot more of the impactful moments because of like where the story's at, where, you know, as these characters are getting farther along in their arcs and they're more developed, there are these like a bunch more impactful moments. So I'm just not going to rate any of the books in the series until I catch up, and then I'll think about it.
Makes sense.
But
so
you were intentionally quiet the entire time because you feel bad about last week.
Very cool.
I hope so. You're
because he did get distracted and go look at Discord.
So.
Amazing levels of toxicity. Anyway, last wait, just a couple days ago. The Critical Role's The Legend of Vox Machina finished, the animated show based on adapting their first campaign. Sort of basically more like there's a two-parter that was apparently because for that campaign they actually started it before their show on it started. So there's stuff that happened before the stream with their characters and stuff, and the first two-parter in the animated series was actually apparently adapted from something that wasn't on the stream, basically. So for reference, I have not actually seen any of Campaign 1. I've seen a couple clips maybe, and there's a channel that has been doing comparisons where they'll highlight clips from the Critical Role show of them at the table and stuff, and then show how that part was animated in the animated series. So I just wanted to establish that I'm speaking as someone who doesn't really know these characters aside from what I've seen in the show. Where obviously with the rest of I'm now in episode 11 of Campaign 2, and I'm caught up to Campaign 3 still. But I really like the show. It is they're taking these, obviously in the D&D camp, every actual episode of the Critical Role web show is 3 to 4 hours long, if not more. So they adapted a whole arc, which was probably a dozen or so episodes, 12 to 20 something episodes of that D&D show into an actual 12 episode animated series. So it managed it, but it's well made enough, probably, because they made both of them. So they understand the characters and they talk a lot. I also watch the Q&As they do, where they talk about how they rearrange some stuff from the show, from the original, and they're compacting these romance arcs and these character moments into, this really dense, without feeling rushed or awkwardly paced. I felt I was also pretty engaged with it. I watched 3 episodes came out a week, and I watched all of them that day easily. I was just as soon as I could, I felt it's just a really well made show. It's got some really good animation and direction at times. And, the jokes, a lot of the jokes landed for me. A lot of the emotional stuff landed for me. It managed to, there's 7 main characters, and it managed to, I feel give all of them, some kind of an arc in the 12 episodes. With some characters, for sure getting more focus here or there, just by nature of, the arc that it focuses on. The Briarwood arc is, heavily focused on the backstory of one of the characters in particular. So that character got, quite a bit of focus, but it still managed to, juggle everyone really well. And to give some examples of or one example that stuck out to me from just the first two-parter was they're fighting a dragon that's in CG, and but I didn't have the problems I usually have with CG and stuff. The dragon was actually really expressive and well animated, even though it was also CG in a otherwise 2D animated show. The show is just well done, I think. And it was funny, it was engaging, I enjoyed it. It's only 12 episodes, and it's a pretty easy recommendation, and good stuff. And I'm still enjoying.
Did you say it was also funny and entertaining?
Yes, I thought so.
I think it's such a really cool idea. I do want to say this about the show. I haven't seen it, but I think it's such a cool idea from a show, because I feel it's something that a lot of people have, right? When you play a D&D campaign, you'll have these moments that just feel so insane, where it's I wish that it's such a special moment in a story that you can tell through the story of this campaign, right, and how it plays out. And a lot of times I feel the closest almost example I could give, even though it's not the same, is when you talk about storylines in sports, right? And so, in sports you'll have a story that happens throughout an NFL season, right, where teams have a story, and it's essentially extrapolating a story from something that's not inherently meant as a narrative. You can pull these narratives from it as it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that's almost how D&D campaigns can go. Obviously, they're more easily crafted to be narratives, but it's still something that is very much dependent on how people are playing, even how they're rolling. And so I think the idea to turn that into
yes, you gave me some examples to bring up, but keep going.
Right, but the idea to turn that into a show and into an actual narrative is really interesting. And I think it's a really interesting way almost to craft a story where you take this very legitimately real story that happened with real people playing characters that, not real characters, but playing characters that are completely written by different people, essentially.
Yes, exactly, and played and acted by professional actors, right? Or voice actors at least. Right. Well, because I was even thinking about that with more thinking about it in terms of like campaigns 2 or 3. Because I'm watching those originally, and like every like the player is each like their character is the one thing they have control of in the world that the game master gives them, so they're able to make them really like interesting and complex in ways that like I'm sure even with the Vox Machina hasn't shown up in like, even though I do think they're good characters in the season, like by nature, like so much has to get shaved off and it's not even complete that like, I'm only getting some level of view of these characters, right? And even just comparing them to like the characters I know from their show on the campaigns 2 or 3 is like, it's only so much. But, like, so not only do you have that, but yeah, like you were saying with, like, it's the fact that it's D&D, the story that has, like, it's like an emergent story that has a level of randomness to it. So, one running thing that just happened randomly in campaign 1 was doors. Where what would happen is, for some reason, they always, because, like, whenever you try to break a door or unlock a door, you have to roll a die. And for some fucking reason... doors just always seem to get in their way, and they do carry that over into the animated series. Like in like the fucking 3rd episode, they even have like their own keep, and they get a guest, and they literally like it's just like a casual thing, but they just like they somehow got locked out of a door in their own like new home, and so they just have to break it down. And so it's and then there's one, apparently in the original show, there was like basically a full 3 or 4 hour episode where most of it was spent like trying to unlock a door, and to the point that like, let's see, there wasn't a lock on it. At one point, one character like drove a sword through the door to try and like use it as like a crowbar to get like because there was like a pry bar or a bar on the back, and they were kind of like using leverage, and one character teleported to the other side and got slashed on the sword. So in order to open the door, they used like multiple spells. So a character took damage, and it was a complete shit show. And they do actually kind of adapt that into the series at one point and it's really funny, because like they do speed through it, but like the way it's punchier when they do it. So it's just like a funny sequence. And just like, yeah, the fact that it's doors, like I think, on one of the Q&As, I think it was Matt who even said like, why, like, not only like, was it just a thing that randomly happened in the game, but it also just stuck out to them. And the way he put it was because it's just something so mundane that is just like these are really powerful adventurers that have literally killed dragons and beholders and all this shit, but like they just keep getting hung up on fucking doors. So like you have that emergent thing that happened in D&D, and then yeah, it's still there in
it's like, oh yeah, these fucking insane guys. Yeah, every time they try to cross a door, they might just get fucked.
Right, like that door was a thing of evil. Like that's one of the lines in the show, because like it's specific, like people are dying and getting hurt, and they're just trying to get there, but there's like they're comedically failing to get through this door, and it's just like, yeah, it's just such a silly and absurd thing, but because it happened in D&D, like, well, there it is. And and like, yeah, again, because they have this understanding of their characters, and they're able to like work. Or even another emergent thing happened is Ashley Johnson tends to be really busy. In that she can't actually, like, I'm in campaign 2, she has maybe been there in person for like 3 of the 11 episodes I've watched, maybe 4, and like literally her character just keeps like vanishing, and because like she just can't be there, and it's kind of sad, because her character is like less of a part of the group, and apparently even in campaign 1 that was happening. So, but she was able to join in on Skype sometimes. So like I think Matt even made a joke of like, oh, you're astral projecting because she's using Skype to play the game at a distance kind of thing. And well, that kind of works into like what happened, like, because like Matt, like, oh, here's how you introduce a character partway through like things that are happening, and well, that also kind of gets worked into the season and into the character arc. Like they do cool things that even like that kind of happened in the D&D game, but they are able to like combine parts of the narrative to make even more sense in some ways. Like it's just a really cool show. It maybe more so for having some of the context behind it. But I've heard like more secondhand I'm trying to get I want to get my at least my brother to watch it, but he also knows about Critical Role. But just like I've heard people who don't know anything about it just like watching it as here's this cool fantasy show. That's but I mean I say fantasy show, but it's also another thing that reason I think it's cool and that you're starting to get more of is like please adult animated shows that aren't comedies. Like, because I was thought about with Invincible too, where how Amazon Prime is kind of like, here, let's have these animated shows that are, good, that are just like, yeah, they're targeted as adults and they can, so they can be violent or whatever. But, and, in this case, like, yeah, it's really violent and there's a lot of sexual stuff because it's, it's D&D. Like, Vindy, you've played it. That's kind of stuff just kind of happens with mature adults playing a game. I don't know. So, but yeah, I was just thinking about, like, it's cool that we're getting more stuff like this, and I hope that, I mean, there's definitely going to be season 2, as has been confirmed, but yeah, it was really good.
Super cool. All right, is that the end of this episode?
Unless you guys want to tell us what you're doing next week.
I forgot about that. No clue. No answer. No comment.
I don't actually know off the top of my head either.
I'm not going to say it again, so
I just played it off and not brought it up. Craftsdwarf.
I will probably have read JoJo's parts. I've already read part 3, but I'll probably finish 4 and 5 by the time.
What are you reading? Like a part a fucking day?
No, more like 4 volumes. I'm almost done with part 4.
You're a psycho.
Maybe there'll be some other stuff I want to talk about, but that's probably what I'm thinking of right now that I'll have at least done. So, anything on your mind then, or no?
I don't know.
All right. You guys hate this segment, and you hate me.
Right, I'm just tired of saying Star Wars for the 8th week in a row because I'm going to say that, and it's not going to happen. And the one time I don't say it, it will happen.
Just say...
Pokemon happened for me.
Just say Star Wars.
No.
3,
I didn't say... No. I'm actually honest to fucking God. After reading 1,300 pages in a week, my ass needs like a... I need a little bit of time as like a fucking... What's like the best word for it? Like I need a recharge period because I would get burnt out so quickly if I tried to start reading like today. Like I'm not going to touch the book for a little bit.
No, I definitely I haven't heard much discussion of it, but I definitely think like with media consumption, like how with food there's the salty sweet alternation where if you alternate you can eat like forever basically. I do think I've realized it because like I've been reading a lot of manga lately after a period of watching all that stuff. And I definitely have been kind of feel like now I'm feeling like maybe I should, maybe instead of like maybe take a break between JoJo parts and watch something instead. And just because like I feel like it's just like that alternation of reading, watching, or playing.
Like,
and
it's also just it's not just like alternating reading, watching. It's that like all I did this last week was read a book, which I know I'm gonna want to do when I get into part 3 because I'm liking the book so much that when I'm into them, it's all I want to read, or it's all I want to do is read the book. So it's like, I'd like to maybe play some video games or something this week. Maybe watch some stuff and like not just have like every moment I'm at home, I'm sitting on my couch reading a book. So
yeah, think of all the Fortnite you could have
played. I know! All right. Adios, muchachos. Thank you guys for listening.
Goodbye.